The Academy asked some of the world's most prominent directors their views on the current maturity of the toy that became an instrument of art. In Rome, Federico Fellini, of 8½. In Stockholm, Ingmar Bergman, The Virgin Spring. In Ireland, the director of Dr. Zhivago, David Lean. In Tokyo, Akira Kurosawa, Seven Samurai. In London, John Schlesinger, nominated this year for Midnight Cowboy. In Rome, Sergei Bondarchuk, War and Peace, and Franco Zeffirelli, Romeo and Juliet. And in Los Angeles, Billy Wilder, Some Like It Hot, and Mike Nichols, The Graduate. We asked them about censorship, the new freedom of the screen, and where they're leading us.
A lot of the people, a lot of the studios who make movies are racing after the audience, trying to find what will please them, trying to talk their language, trying to say what they think the audience thinks without entirely knowing what that is.
The taste of the audience, the development of the taste of the audience, I think that is very encouraging, and it obliges all of us to be better, to be more engaged, to don't be so silly like in the past years.
It's a difficult time in the industry at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of changing over that's happening, and there are a lot of very bright young people who want to get into it, and I think it's terribly important for them that they fight with all the energy they have and never ever take no for an answer.
They are in a position that they don't risk much, so why bother with obeying certain laws? Break all the rules and see what happens after that.
A certain degree of order, a certain amount of restraint is needed in society. With total freedom from any restraint, the world will become chaos.
I understand freedom as a comprehension of necessity.
You know, to be free is a very difficult thing. Normally people, we don't want to be free. It's much more easy to live with some protection, you know. It is much easier to live like kids with somebody who says to us what we have to do. So freedom makes chaos, everybody. It's very, very difficult, tremendously difficult to be free.
You can't divide freedom, which is important to all of us. You can't divide that freedom from freedom of expression and sexual freedom. They're all one.
And I am against any kind of censorship.
Well, I'd like to see total freedom from censorship, but I think it'd be a pretty rough 5 years, because there's going to be all sorts of gentlemen who make straight blue films. At the end of 5 years or something like that, I should think that people would get bored with it and everything would simmer down again. I think it's a risky business.
I think films nowadays are too much concerned with sex.
If nudity or scandalous elements can be introduced in the movies for a creative purpose, I'm not against it at all.
Well, let me say this. I am against censorship. And I am for more nudies. I just think that what we should have is sort of saturation bombing until we are good and sick of it.
Nudity leads us into the arms of evil.
Depends on the news.
I don't think it has anything to do with nudity. I think that has much more to do with whether we're able to breathe the air and whether we're able to have our children and not worry, and whether we're not going to kill each other. I don't think it's very important whether people are, how they're dressed or whether they're dressed.
And I think after we've used up all the four-letter words, there will be a glorious resurgence, reemergence of a three-letter word, wit.
Learn how to be a film director, except by directing a film. We asked our directors how they got their start.
Oh, I started carrying tea for the camera department. And in those days, there weren't any unions, and I did almost everything. camera assistant, assistant director. At one moment, I was even wardrobe mistress.
I was a newspaperman in Vienna and in Berlin, and then I latched on to a group of young filmmakers.
An accident. It really was an accident. I was going to be a painter, an artist.
I think I was about 6 years old, and I got a little cinematograph, you know, with I could sit and see on the wall a little picture, you know, and I bought small films, and that was the beginning.
And I made some films when I was a student. Then I became a professional actor. And from there, I got bored with just being an actor because I wasn't good enough.
I have invented so many stories about these questions that I have really forget how it started.
As I worked and I studied and I saved, and then some friends of mine got me a job, Richard and Elizabeth Burton. They recommended me for my first picture, and I got it. So I got my first job through connections.